Hello, my name is Mariana, and today this is a reading for Capricorn. So Capricorn, as usual, I'm doing a reading with my own tarot deck, so the cards that you see are from this deck. So Capricorn, you're showing up here as incredibly strong, but also a little bit stubborn, to be honest. Like, you have been doing life almost like going against the grain and fighting your own demons and your own battles and being very proud in a sense of this self-sufficiency. And it's almost like the harder it got, the stronger it made you feel. It was almost like you were always defying gravity in a sense. So the harder it felt, it might have given you this power, right? Or this confirmation that you were doing the right thing in a sense. But I feel like there is this shift that is happening recently, or is about to happen, that you're going back to your own self, to your own intuition, to your higher self. And that means that it doesn't need to be hard. It doesn't need to be something that you're fighting on your own. And I feel like this might give you this paradigm shift, really, that makes you intuitively want to stop everything and just be, and just marinate in the thought of why you have been doing life the way that you have been doing, without, it's almost like you were doing, and to avoid thinking, really, because I feel like the moments that you thought about life in general in your life, it might have been really hard. And so I feel like you kind of self-imposed a little bit this battlefield. So let me explain. We're beginning with the Judgment card, but actually this Judgment came upside down. And I feel like the reason for this Judgment to come sometimes in reverse is because it wants to show me the difference in the strength that is being applied, right? So this is top down, right? This is in favor of gravity in a sense. This is the action of gravity. This, however, is going against gravity, right? This is how I'm seeing it. It's like it's going from the bottom up. And I feel like this might have been the judgment that you cast upon yourself. Like, I need to go against the norm. I need to do things differently. And I feel like you have been doing so. With the Nine of Swords coming next, you see how the direction that you were moving in was the same, right? But the Nine of Swords here is talking about it's like the uncomfortable thoughts that whenever you weren't on the doing and you were on the thinking, you were going in the same direction. But it's almost like if you were doing life, going in the same direction that you were going, just here in this Nine of Swords, it could have been like this nightmare experience, right? Of, waking up and realizing that your life is a nightmare. And I know that this may sound like really harsh, but sometimes the messages that appear in the cards, they are exaggerated to make a point, right? So I feel like your strength really, or your power, or your sense of independence and self-sufficiency to deal with the demons, to deal with the uncomfortable thoughts, to deal with the nightmares, right? Or the challenges. And I feel like this is almost like as I said, the self-imposed difficulties or challenges. You dealt with it with doing things, with getting everything that you had at hand, gathering the tools and acting upon them. And it's almost like, the way that I'm seeing this, it's almost like, and this is very appropriate for Capricorn, because Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, knows how to be patient, but also how to be consistent in removing obstacles and overcoming obstacles. And this is how I'm seeing this judgment reversed. Because in dealing with your own demons, in dealing with your own problems and nightmares, the way that you knew how to do this, Capricorn, was to battle against it, right? It was to act upon it, but like with everything that you had, and almost like feeling like you were needing to, it's interesting because now it's bringing this image that actually is coming in the next card. Let me show you already. It's the High Priestess, but it's also in reverse. And the way that it's showing me, it's like you finally surfing your own wave of intuition. Because what I was going to say, that the sensation that I was feeling of, swimming against the current, of going against the norm and trying to defy gravity by feeling like the harder your life was getting, then you were feeling more powerful, right? Or maybe in control, right? Just it's almost like the reaction to your action, or maybe just this push and pull of life. It's like you were always kind of like battling this tsunami of mental waves, right? So it's like big waves of maybe distortion is what I'm hearing, but nevertheless, it's like going in the same direction, right? So for you, swimming in that direction, no matter how hard it felt, or no matter how many obstacles you had to overcome, or how many barriers you had to swim against, it's like you were feeling like there was progress, right? But here with this High Priestess, you see how it's pointing downwards, right? So it's actually the opposite way of what you were trying to do. And I feel like what this is saying is like you're swimming back to yourself. It's almost like here you were trying to swim out of your mind, out of your problems, out of your mental breakdowns, or like, you were trying to do this with a tool of making it harder, basically, Capricorn. I'm trying to think of a practical example, but I can't think of any right now. So I feel like it really varies from person to person, from, life to life. But the main thing, the most important thing that this High Priestess in reverse is talking about is like the guidance here, which might come naturally, to be honest, because it's almost like you can do this for so long. You can defy gravity for so long until you're out of breath, until you are out of energy, right? Or maybe until you cannot run away from your own demons anymore. And so I feel like here, the guidance that is coming through in a very visible type of way, in a very perceivable way with this reading. But I feel like, as I said, it's something that might come naturally, right? There's nothing that you actually need to do, but because that's the difference here. This is you doing, right? This is you doing anything and everything that you can, and feeling like the harder it gets, then it is proof in a sense that you are doing something right. So this is action. This, however, is just being and listening. And most of all, it's like just allowing yourself to flow with the water, right? Because here, as I said, there was this image of you, battling and going against the waves, right? The tsunami, the mental waves. Here is you flowing in the same direction. This is how I'm seeing this. It's like you're allowing the waves to take you wherever you need to go, which feels to me like it takes you inside. It takes you back to yourself, to your inner self, where you can find some peace, some rest. And to be honest, it's like with the Seven of Swords coming next, it brings you into this fetal position. This is how I'm seeing the Seven of Swords. So here is like you fighting your own demons, doing so maybe very proudly, but really being a lot, right? Being exhausting, really. Because you cannot do this forever, right? There is so much that you can give to go against the grain. And so I feel like when you decide, and it's not a decision, it's almost like, and it's not giving up as well, right? Just to be clear, it's not giving up. It's more like this surrendering to what your intuition has been given you already, right? And what I'm seeing with the Seven of Swords is like, even though here, it's like, it's almost like you against, the world, right? Or you against your own demons, your own mental waves of negative belief or negative thoughts or, pessimism or whatever it is. But here with the Seven of Swords and this image of this crawling up into yourself, right? Into a fetal position, it's like allow your thoughts to be embraced by you, or maybe I should say embrace your own thoughts, because in a sense what they're going to show you is something that you might have been avoiding, because as I said, it's like this direction of going outward, it's almost like an escape, right? You're trying to escape your own mind, or you're trying to escape your own reality, and doing so with every fiber of your being, every tool that you have. But what your intuition is saying is like, allow yourself to be embraced by these thoughts. It's like no matter how hard or how sharp they are, it's like if you allow yourself to be in this fetal position, it's like you're going to call these energies in, but for them to be slowly released. Because as I said, here is like going back to yourself, going inward. And yes, it might feel like you know how, the image that I'm seeing is like you have been, going by life holding so many swords that the moment that you crawl up, you feel the edge, you feel the sharpness, you feel the tip of these swords poking on you, right? So it is uncomfortable. It's not the most comfortable thing, right? It's not the most welcoming feeling, right? So it can be very distressful. It can be very annoying. It can be very sharp, right? It's like being pierced by your own self-defensiveness is what I just heard. So you might have been so fierce in terms of defending yourself and going against the grain, but you were just fleeing or trying to escape. And the moment that you stop going outward and then you be yourself here, you go inside, this is when these demons are embraced in a sense. This is when the sharpness of your self-defensiveness is like felt, like really felt. And so until this point, the cards were giving me like this general picture of your life in general. The second row, however, is showing me a partnership, and it feels very much like a marriage. So I feel like, you know, this could apply to any situation really in your life, Capricorn. But this second row is giving me like more details about like the source of your discomfort, or like the reason why you didn't want to stop and crawl in on yourself, you know, into this fetal position. Because I feel like for you, the moment that you do so, it's almost like you're declaring defeat, and it might feel very, very hard, right? It might be making you feel like that you know you're not one that allows yourself to be defeated, really. So let me show you the reason why I'm saying that this looks like marriage. The 10 of Wands and the 10 of Pentacles. So before I talk about the meaning of these two cards, I'm going to tell you what I am being shown with these two cards. The 10 of Wands is showing me this beautiful, lush green forest. Two people in a relationship that felt very abundant because of the shared path, right? That I often see with the 10s. The 10 of Pentacles, however, is showing me that this lush green forest has become petrified, like literally petrified. So the juices, the everything that was giving life to this forest, to this relationship, to this marriage, to this partnership, has become very rigid, has become very systematic, and very you know, this dull routine that there is no novelty, there is no newness, there is no new life, right? It's like this was showing me this beautiful organic relationship that flows with life, that flows with newness. Even though the 10 of Wands in traditional tarot can be seen as, you know, carrying a lot of the burden, and not only your burden, but also like the other person's burden, right? If we're talking about a marriage. But really, this is not what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing this as like the early days of marriage, or like the relationship, and being like this very beautiful exchange of give and take of life, right? It's like there is this beautiful dynamic of, you know, let me take this for you, right? It's like sharing the burden in a sense, but it's not burden. It doesn't feel like burden, right? It feels like it's good to have you in my life. I feel like over time, and this is like giving me the span of time, right? Between the lush forest and the petrified forest. It's like things have become too predictable. Things have become too rigid, right? Too like there is nothing new here. There is nothing that is exciting, that is bringing new life. It's almost like this is what is expected, and there is a little bit of a, you know, discharge in the environment, because it's like the tension of something that wants to, it's almost like I'm seeing this the nature of the forest is to keep on growing, but when it's been petrified, maybe by routine, by expectations, by responsibilities, right? It's like the tension is in the air, right? Because the nature is for it to break the barrier, right? For it to break the rigidity. However, I feel like there are expectations, and maybe from both sides, right? Where it's hard. It's hard, right? It's not an easy one. And I feel like this is because the span of time between this stage and this one, I feel like it's a long relationship, right? It's not something that is new. So I feel like because it has been maybe a while to get to this state, the message here for you, Capricorn, is to give yourself time and allow yourself to be in this momentary pause, or just at least like this rethinking of this situation in your life, instead of doing and going against the grain and trying to escape the situation, but instead go inside, right? Follow your intuition, really let your intuition guide you. And even though it might be incredibly uncomfortable at first, because maybe you have been holding so many swords that to defend yourself, really, right? But the moment that you are in this fetal position, these are going to, the word that I'm hearing, it's like backlash on you, but it's not really the meaning of backlash, right? It's just that you're going to feel the discomfort at first, right? And it's almost like you're going to want to escape this, but the guidance is allow this discomfort to be seen. It's like allow your mind to actually see this instead of just looking the other way, right? Or trying to find anything that could provide you some sort of obstacle that needs overcoming, right? It's almost like what I'm seeing now with this Judgment reverse is like finding difficulty where there is like none really, because the real difficulty is here, but finding outside difficulties to create excuses, in a sense, to go out there and, you know, battle the world. So because this real source really of this discomfort is inside this relationship, and the moment that you are surrendering to your intuition, your intuition, your higher self will take you back inside and will make you feel that the discomfort really is not out there, right? Is really inside of you and inside this relationship. And how the time that you have been with this person, it's like things might have gotten a little bit too stiff, too rigid, too unmoving, right? And with the Four of Swords ending this, it's like, you see how it goes from the 9 to the 7 to the 4. So I feel like give yourself some time to process this and to marinate in this fetal position, where slowly but surely, and that's the reason why you have to be patient with yourself, Capricorn, is that the defensiveness will go away, right? It will be washed away by the waves. So the moment that you allow to be taken by the waves and to flow with it, it's like the sharpness will also go away, but it's not something that will happen from day to night. It's not flipping the switch, right? It's like giving yourself the time to marinate in this energy, to be still, to be in this state of rethinking of why this happened, right? What happened in this time that made this relationship become this rigid, right? So yeah, I feel like just be patient with yourself, Capricorn. So I am going to pull more cards for you, as well as the astrological runes in the extended reading, to see where this wants to go. So if you want to join me there, I'll be very happy to see you. You can find the link down below. If not, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.